that box within the system. We're not going to do that, but that's just an example of something that we can create ourselves. And the last thing is Dazzle's shelf life. That's really come into question because Dazzle as a software program has been sold several times in the last few years. And when that starts happening with software programs, you worry about how long they're going to be around. This is really a proactive choice on our part from that perspective because we still think Dazzle will be around for several more years, but it's of concern. Where PowerSchool is so widely used, I don't know if it is the #1, so I think it's the #1 system in the country, and there are literally thousands of schools across the country that use PowerSchool. So those are the real 3 reasons why we're making this particular shift. The more difficult part is how do you do all this? So think of bringing all that information, and we're going back 7 years in Dazzle and moving it over to PowerSchool. So we're working very closely with 2 different organizations. One is Meta, and Meta is very similar to LACA, except they're in Central Ohio, but they are the PowerSchool gurus in Ohio. And they're helping us with importing staff schedules, students, going back 7 years, calendars, all the different periods we have. Right now we're working on getting transcripts, grades, and test data. That's kind of the last piece of data that we have to get in. And then you have to go and spot check all this to make sure it's correct as well. In the meantime, we will still have access to Dazzle to make sure that those, nothing was missed. And if we did miss something, we can fill in those gaps as we go through that. Once we get done with this initial setup, LACA will be our support for PowerSchool. They've hired a couple new employees that have a lot of PowerSchool experience, so that'll be good. Plus, we have other schools in the county that have either gone to PowerSchool or are thinking about going to PowerSchool, so it's going to become a bigger need on their end as well. We're going to roll out training to staff here in a couple weeks in July, and then we're going to roll this out to families in early August, along with some of the other ancillary programs that we talked about. So there'll be videos to show families how to sign up for PowerSchool, how to access their child's grade book and all the information, how to access Schoology, where to find fees. We will have a parent portal just like we did before, but it's just going to look a little bit different. And all those things will interact with PowerSchool on our end much more seamlessly. So before we get into questions, I want to show you a short video, then I'll take any questions that you have related to our transition.
And we're going to highlight key aspects.
Why is that not going up there?
Maybe on extended monitor.
Today, we're going to highlight key aspects of the SIS. We want to examine how having a robust, flexible SIS at the center of your EdTech ecosystem can help you adapt, thrive, and overcome any challenges that come your way. In a fast-changing world, schools and districts are recognizing the need for a flexible, highly configurable, and self-customizable student information system. PowerSchool SIS allows schools and districts to simplify year-to-year setup and maintenance needs with batch setup tools, while still allowing for each school in a district to configure unique settings for things like attendance, school calendars, and gradebooks. Districts with strict grading policies can configure them and lock them down, while those offering more flexibility have the choice to allow schools or teachers to update their default settings. When a weather-related delay or cancellation means calendars need to be adjusted, system administrators can quickly push those settings out to all buildings. Should a need arise to track and store information that may not already be part of the core database, PowerSchool SIS also includes tools to tailor the system to meet your specific needs. PowerSchool gives you the ability to add custom data fields and tables using the system's built-in extension management utilities. PowerSchool also includes a custom screen utility for quickly pushing out simple custom pages without needing to know any HTML or web coding languages. Customers also have access to the custom page management utility for building more complex custom screens or modifying the existing pages to meet their specific needs. And PowerSchool customers all around the globe share these types of system enhancements with each other through the PowerSource Community Exchange and regional PowerSchool users groups. Installation of these enhancements or plugins takes just a few seconds using PowerSchool's plugin management dashboard. Districts and schools that choose PowerSchool SIS gain critical flexibility and customization capabilities that have led the K-12 industry for over 2 decades. Teaching in the 21st century often means teaching on the go, monitoring and observing student work as you roam your classroom or outside the classroom as you and your students explore the world. Regardless of the location, teachers need a gradebook they can access using whatever device they have in hand. PowerSchool is committed to providing teachers easy-to-use tools on mobile devices, tablets, Chromebooks, laptops, or a desktop computer in the classroom. PowerTeacher Pro Gradebook provides teachers with all the tools they need for managing traditional and standards-based grades. It also provides real-time feedback on class-level progress, helping teachers adjust their day-to-day delivery of curriculum and classroom content. Schools and districts can pre-configure settings for final grading terms and traditional grade calculations, locking them down when strict grading policies are in place, or allowing teachers the freedom to manage and update their default settings in more autonomous classrooms. And your teachers won't need any special apps or software to use PowerTeacher Pro Gradebook. They'll use the web browser of their choice on whatever device they have available. PowerSchool SIS provides the resources to connect students, teachers, administrators, and parents with the shared goal of improving student learning outcomes. PowerSchool's parent and student portal keeps household stakeholders in the loop with access to real-time attendance and classroom information. The PowerSchool mobile app, available on iOS and Android devices, also provides push notifications anytime a student is marked absent or when any of their final grades change in a class. Families can also be part of the annual master scheduling process, helping students in the process of selecting courses and putting in requests for the coming school year. Using the communication tools in the PowerTeacher Pro Gradebook, teachers can quickly reach out to students and their families, either individually or in large groups. In addition, families are not left out of the partnership loop. PowerSchool's robust network of partners can integrate their family-facing offerings directly within the parent portal, making it easy for families to manage online payments and other services tied directly into the student information system. With tools this easy to access and use, families have real-time insights into the classroom that help students stay on track, meet deadlines, engage in learning, and succeed.
So that is a very broad 30,000-foot overview of this. Over the next month, we're going to dot our I's and cross our T's and have everything in place for the start of school. And I'm sure that will go on past the start of school because what we found is once you upload something, then you have to go back and find all the little things that were missed, and that's the fun part of it. That's the puzzle piece. So when I see that screen, that you saw, it kind of looked the same in blue. That's what I see in my dreams every night. Glenn does as well, and we share those stories. But no, it's been going really well so far, and the next month we'll really see that pick up in terms of Staff started to use it, and we're excited. So I'll take any questions. And I think you had a question.
Yeah, so will we no longer have like Schoology and Parent Portal separate? Will it all be on this, or is that totally a separate thing?
So the Parent Portal is going to still be a place where you can go and access Power School and Schoology separately, but it'll look different than it has in the past, and it'll have different icons and so forth. It'll look very similar to if you've ever logged in with your students in ClassLink. It's going to be a very similar structure and feature like that, where once you put that password and username in that first time, then you just have to click on it, it automatically logs you in from those points on. So they will talk to each other, but they'll still be separate apps within that Parent Portal.
Okay, but it's just like a click instead of logging in.
Correct.
That's good.
That's the goal. That's just to make it more efficient with, we try to look at it from a perspective of, like when kindergartners and first graders, when we would have them go into class, we don't want them to have to put usernames and passwords, because that's not very efficient. And so we want the same thing for everybody, just to be able to go and click, it remembers it, and then you're in the system, and it's a one-time thing.
That's always an issue, is password management.
Absolutely.
Resets and so forth.
Absolutely.
So it's cloud-based, which means you can log in from any device with a browser or a phone or mobile or whatever and so forth. Does it have any integration with either Microsoft or Google systems, or is that more at the Schoology level that you have the integration of documents to assignments? And so
Yeah, that's going to be more
That's
at
probably more
the school
Schoology.
level. That hasn't been we can upload documents into the system that are, we've only done PDFs. That seems to be the preferred ones, so that they're not editable within the system, but I'm going to defer to Glenn on that a little bit. That's more of,
Okay.
Yeah, the only exception would be it does have integrations from a sign-on perspective. So you could connect it with either Google or something like that as the same line of ClassLink as an SSO, a single sign-on provider. But like Mr. Burnett said, most of the documents are static documents that we'd run into. I don't know of a way to directly connect cloud documents.
Yeah. A lot of things, we have a lot of different calendars that manage different things from the different schools to the district and so on and so forth. And I suppose that's also probably outside of this student information system, that those are kind of managed still through either Microsoft or Google or however else they're shared. Is that right?
yeah, that's correct. The calendars in there are strictly, do we have school that day, and how long were students in school, and that relates directly to attendance. It's not calendars for events. However, there are places for each building that they can script their own messages and direct families to. This is where we have our calendar, and this is where we have this, that each building will, almost like a welcome message. It's a place where if we would have, a calamity day, we could put that message in there. That'd be the first thing that would pop up. It's welcome to our Power School page, and oh, by the way, we don't have school today. But there's other things that we could put on there from a communication perspective that we'll be looking at the next month from the administrative level. What kind of things, links do we want to put in there and so forth that can make that clicking just one step easier for families, because that's the first thing they'll see when they log in.
Yeah, it's a kind of a nice app interface, and if there's a way to integrate, like, oh, it's a late arrival, or don't forget it's the teacher in service this Friday, or whatever those kinds of things are, I think we could use with a little bit cleaner integration of that.
Those
So it's
will
just
be
right
in the
front
calendar.
of
Yeah.
families. Those will be in there?
The late arrival, we don't have early dismissal, but late arrival, ACE day at the high school and middle school level.
Great.
Those will be in there, and those are part of the calendar already, because they have different bell schedules on those days.
Right.
So you'll be able, as a parent, to get on there and say, okay, I don't know what day it is. I mean, I don't keep track of my child's schedule on a day-to-day
Right.
basis.
Right.
And, oh, it's ACE day, and I think they're supposed to be in fourth period, but it's actually third period right now.
Yeah.
You would actually see that in that particular moment. There's a nice little app feature on here too from a, find your student, especially, 800 students in a building. Finding a student and having to look up their schedule can be, that's a cumbersome activity. You just click a little button and it says, this student right now is in this location.
Yeah.
And it makes it a lot more efficient to find that particular child in that moment.
Nice. And do payments actually come through this software, or is there still a vendor of some sort that interfaces with this in a way?
We'll still use Pay for it from a parent-facing perspective, but the actual tracking of the fees that have been paid will be in the system.
Okay.
I will add to that a little bit. We were, Power School gets rave reviews across the board, except for their fee management and payment management systems. Everybody that we talked to said, stay away, stay away, stay away, stay away, and stay with Pay for It. and another app that that will integrate with PowerSchool, but it's not actually within the PowerSchool system.
That's fine.
It's one of those plugins that
Yes.
they mentioned in this, so
Yeah.
it will kind of look like you're still in the same system, I
Yes.
think. But as far as where parents are gonna go online and make payments, we'll still be paid for it.
Okay. It's just like one more password in place, login and things like that. So if there's some integration at some point in time, that probably would facilitate things.
Yes.
Good. And that's like a good luck with the implementation. Anytime you put a new system in place, you know, there's a lot of details and a lot of things that have to go into play. You know, the sooner that parents can get emails or get passwords and stuff to get logged in even before the school year, hopefully they're back from vacation and interested enough to do that. So that on the first week of classes, you don't get 100 requests for whatever, you know, but you probably will.
Yeah, you probably, but I mean, as a teacher, I use PowerSchool and I kind of taught myself how to use it. I didn't really have, I had no training on it. And if I had a question, I would go specifically ask someone. But, so I'm hoping that it's easy for teachers and it's easy for parents on the parent end too.
It's a very intuitive system. That's one of the reasons why we went with this product. The other reason, and Thomas, you brought up calendars. You know, we've had a parent portal that's tied to our website and integrated into eSchoolView, which is our website provider. And as we transition to PowerSchool, we'll sunset that parent portal because parents will have access via some type of class link environment, which is more single sign-on. And then that gives us flexibility to potentially look at other vendors for website. That's down the road, so I don't stress Glenn out. And it is something that, you know, this is kind of the first step in that next evolution of taking the step with the website to
Great. The more it's integrated, the better, you know, because if the website is a separate event that somebody's got to remember to go back and tie into, that's always challenging. But it's another big project to integrate that stuff, so it's nice that that capability is here when I'm ready for it.
but it's job security, right, Glenn?
Please change the spelling on that page of the website.
Yes.
Mr. Bernath, I did notice that, at least my thinking, the bike wasn't a independent thought, that you stole that.
No, I stole that. I think I mentioned that, in the video you're going to see this. But, you know, we could say what color shoestrings they're going to have in their tennis shoes, and we could,
Big brother.
you know, it's, yeah, I mean, there's a point where that just needs to stop, obviously. But at the same time, that customization is really going to be, not to bring up COVID because, you know, that's been rough, but think of all the information we could have stored in there that would have been at everybody's fingertips instead of constantly having to put out surveys.
Sure.
That's just one specific example that, you know, would have been really useful the last couple of years. And parents would have access to it 24/7 and made decisions for their own family as they needed to, so.
Okay, next we're going to have Tanya Sherburne come up and talk a little bit about another product that also integrates with PowerSchool that's related to transportation. So Traversa.
Good evening. So we are making some changes with transportation as well, and it is integrated with PowerSchool, so that is good news. I think that the main reason we are doing these changes would be to increase efficiencies and also for customer service for our parents. So I'm going to ask that you watch this video that will give you a high-level view of what Traversa and Ride 360 looks like.
doctors.
So just as Ryan had mentioned in his presentation, with transportation, we've used multiple software, different programs to make one system for us to use. This is going to integrate all of those and make things a lot easier for the staff in the transportation office. And like I said, for the parents also, so they have a real a live view of where their students are, where their bus is, in case anything is running late. So with Traverso, we can route the buses, we can do field trips, planning through that. We can also track work orders, we can schedule maintenance, so that will help our mechanics, and we also now will have GPS locators on all of the buses. And it's really going to be very nice because we have access, it's web-based, so we can access that at any location, on any device, just the same as PowerSchool. The Ride 360 app, that is going to be very powerful, I think. Parents will be able to log into that. They'll be able to get their student information, the route, the bus number. They will be able to track the route. They'll be able to see where their student is. They can send messages directly to the transportation supervisor. They can also receive messages from us. So at any point, we could send something out, school's closed, or you're directly to the parents that students ride bus 32. Your bus is running late due to a tree is in the middle of the road or something like that. So I think it's going to be great communication. I've definitely talked to many parents who are interested in having this sort of a program. So I think that it's going to be very beneficial for all of us and our bus drivers. We've gone through training we started training in May. Glenn and I have participated in that training. It's been very entertaining. I'll tell you what, it's so exciting to see our transportation staff light up when they are being able to use this technology that is really so user-friendly. Then they're making routes. It's pretty exciting. So our system prior was very archaic. We did not have that level of maps. We didn't even have updated maps. So this is going to be very efficient. I think it's a great move for our transportation system. So.
I think the other thing to mention is, in our current environment, we tend to get notified of gas projects and bridge closures and roundabout discussions about every other 2 minutes. And so this is a software package that allows us to reroute almost instantaneously based on what information we're being given as far as road closures, which is really helpful. And something that we just didn't have that functionality. When Tanya says our system was antiquated, she's not joking. It was very much antiquated and not keeping up with today's trends in transportation safety and other routing software packages. So this is definitely an upgrade, and I think parents will definitely appreciate it.
We will be sending out communication to parents about how they can log and how they can download the app, the passwords that they need to be able to access their student information. So we'll do that at the beginning of August.
And family will not be able to be in communication directly with bus drivers, is
No,
that correct?
oh, no. The transportation supervisor,
Yes.
or if it's the dispatcher, it'll pop up on their screen. But no, not the bus driver.
Okay. Just double checking.
Excellent question.
Will, like extracurricular, let's say the band's coming from Zanesville.
Yes.
Will it be able to tell the parent, okay, I need to be at, pick up at 10:30? At the ETA, it's 10:30 at the middle school. Do you know if it will be able to do that, or, I'm just curious.
So let me do some more digging on that, because we have not talked about the app and field trips and what that would look like. So the buses will have a GPS unit on those. So it's just going to depend on how those units would interact with a route versus a non-route, because a route, going on a field trip would be a
Right.
one-time event, and then how we would group those students to be able to have those parents have that password. So I don't know that would be a capability, but I will find out. I think that's a great question.
But you would be able to see the GPS location of the bus if you knew the number or something like that?
Well, the way it works is we have the routes set up, so the parent, the students are assigned to those routes, and the parents have access to those routes to be able to see that bus. So we would almost have to build a route for every individual field trip. That's just what I'm thinking right now through my training. It might be possible, I just don't know. I just don't know.
And maybe, because this is way out of my world, is, maybe if we know the away sporting events where we know we have like the band and the team, where there's a large number of students, I don't know if that'd be possible to put in,
It's a good question.
Friday, May 20th at Zanesville, what the route is, and they could.
Yeah, and students with being in different groups and assigning them the route, and,
Yeah.
a lot of the times the LCL, would go to those same schools.
Right.
So it's.
And I'm not trying to add to this, because I think this is really great.
Yeah, no, I
don't
love the
wanna-
idea, especially when it's late at night, right?
Yeah,
Parents are
and-
gonna pick up their child, or their
Any
child's
parent
driving
could
home.
sat in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So that's an excellent thought, I will definitely look into that. Another wonderful feature about this is it allows, not every student is going to the same place after school every day or being picked up from the same location. So it allows us to have those changes, not just on paper. So it's going to be a great feature.
Great.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you very much, Tyler.
Okay, thank you.
So this is just the initial kind of communication about some of the things that are new coming 22, 23. There will be more, obviously, as we move towards August, but we're excited about moving in and doing some significant upgrading to our student information system and transportation system. And that was just a filler to give Brittany time to get over to the computer and do her monthly report.
Like every month, it's going to be very exciting.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have a video made for you guys to watch, unfortunately, so just be live. All right, it seems crazy because it's June 27th, but we are still looking at the May financial report. And a lot of this we knew and talked about last month when we presented on the forecast, so there's not a lot of new information this month. But as far as cash goes, we are 5.3 million above where we were last May. Again, that's a phase-in of the income tax and how that cash carried over from last year into this year, and then the increase in the income tax revenue that we've seen throughout this fiscal year. Just looking at the month of May compared to last May on the revenue side, just want to point out state revenue, and that again has just been wonky because of the timing and implementation of the funding formula when that happened this year compared to when cuts were made in previous years. So when I flip then to year to date, that kind of has leveled out on the state revenue line item there. As far as local taxes, that includes property tax and the income tax. That's where we've seen the increase, 1.7 million over last year, and that's largely the income tax. On the expenditure side, we have our normal increase in salary and benefits. That's the steps and base increases in salaries that we would expect to see. And then year to date, so just wanted to provide some explanation here. So I always adjust for our double insurance payment. In last fiscal year, I cannot wait until this year is over and I can stop talking about that. And then also on the purchase service line item, we adjust for the tuition payments. So with the new funding formula, we don't have those tuition expenses coming out anymore. So just for those two items, and expenditures are up 1.8 million. And that is step and base increases in salaries, as well as additional staff that we added. And then really just getting back to pre-COVID level spending. Fuel costs are going up. We know supply costs are going up across the board, but also we're doing things more like we were 2 years ago than we were last year. So all those things combined, but we're still in alignment with the forecast and where we would expect to be at this point in the year. COVID-related funds. So we're down to 4 sources left on COVID-related funds. And it's really three main spending categories that we have left to spend, which is represented by the orange bars here. So we have the air handler project at the elementary, so that likely won't pay out until December, so at some point we'll continue to see that through December. We also have staffing, which is summer school, summer intervention, as well as an intervention position at the elementary that we'll have throughout the school year. And then behavior specialists out of the IDEA ARP dollars. So those are the three main categories that we have left to spend. Just wanted to give a quick athletic complex project since we are actually in 3 days at the end of the fiscal year. And there's several action items on the agenda related to fiscal year end items, and one of those is related to the athletic complex. So if we recall back to the beginning of that project, it was a public-private partnership, and the split was about almost 50-50. And the private portion was funded through donations that were pledged over multiple years. So rather than the booster groups having to go out and get a loan and pay interest on that, the district had the cash available and advanced those funds to the project, from the general fund to the project fund. And then as those donations have come in over the last 2 years, we have to put that money back into the project fund and then return it at the end of the year to the general fund. So this is an update on where we stand. So we are on track with our receivable balance, and we will return a portion of these funds to the general fund, which is one of your action items. And then we have our cash reconciliation, and that is it. Any questions? Yes.
I just have a question about the payback.
Yes.
We're happy with how that's proceeding, it's on track, there's no issues.
Yep.
Good.
So the plan was for the boosters to turn that over to us at some point. We haven't made that transition yet, but it's going fine.
Good.
I don't have any concern about it.
Good.
If I did, I'd say, okay, let's bring that in so we can keep a little bit tighter reins on it. But those donations have been coming in, and
Great.
as they build up fund, as you can see, they just cut checks to us periodically when the cash builds up in their account. So yeah, that's been going great, and we really appreciate their effort in tracking all that and sending invoices and everything for us. So that's been very helpful.
From my perspective, I hope it's yours, and I think it has in conversations we've heard here and with you. You've been really happy how that's worked, and that's great to hear that public-private or a volunteer group and the district working so well together. That's great.
Yep, it's been great.
Absolutely, shout out to them for that. Do you recall how much interest income might be saved by the district funding the loan effectively instead of the other?
I don't, I want to say 100,000. I think it was somewhere around there, yeah. It definitely didn't make sense to add that cost. So, yeah. Any savings there, I think, made sense. But.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
And that was just as exciting, Brittany.
Thanks.
Better than a bit. All right. We've reached the time in our agenda where we welcome public comments. Anybody that would like to offer a message to the board, please feel free to step to the podium, offer your name and address and a message up to 5 minutes. We'd love to hear from you. And in the interim, if there's anyone else online or otherwise that wants to reach out to us, we always accept emails and look forward to community engagement. Anyone? Okay, seeing none, we can proceed with board discussion.
At our previous meeting in May, we had our initial discussion around the income tax renewal. And at that time, we had kind of narrowed down conversation from 3 options: a 5-year, a 10-year, or a continuing renewal. And this is the next conversation we need to have. And then there's an associated action item in the financial section of the agenda to place what is the first resolution pass the first resolution for November ballot issue, the renewal of the income tax. So it's a two-step process. Brittany can probably be a little bit more specific than I am related to that, but we would like the board to enter into discussion about that levy request.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, we asked a little bit for input in the last meeting, and I didn't get a lot proactively, but I've been having a lot of coffees and calling a lot of people to find out more, and I'm eager to hear what other board members have heard from community members as well. Anybody have a chance to reach out or hear from anyone?
Yeah, I did. I reached out to a lot of friends, and just a couple said that they were leaning towards tenure, just because they think that parents move in for the schools and then leave. But a majority of the people I talked with said that they'd be fine with the continual because there's no increase in the payment, and they understand that we'll always need that money to continue the level of education we give to our students. So I feel pretty comfortable with that.
Okay.
Some of the conversations I had to do with growth and upcoming growth, and some people feeling I'm not sure the right word to use, just feeling that we're going to get more growth, we're going to get more people moving in, and we want to make sure, or they want to make sure that we're all paying into this system, this school system. And I think the best way to do that is as we've always said, the income tax. I feel good about continuous as well.
Yeah, I've had discussions, one of the points that I was able to share that I think, at least people I talked to, that I was able to assure them it's the same. It's not a brand new tax, and I think that's important. And I was able to tell them, we were able to talk about, I don't know if it's unique to our community, but during COVID, it seemed like most of our residents weren't affected income-wise. And I don't think anybody knew that. I mean, what to expect, who knew what to expect during a pandemic. But I did have quite a few conversations about, the challenges and the changes that'll be coming with Intel, and how we need to be prepared also, and that it's important to be prepared. So I think the continuing, at least in my perspective, is the way to go, and I think people understand that. I respect the point of view about the idea of accountability, but I also think the district, we can answer those questions, because I think I'm really proud of what the district has been able to do and how it's managed the money efficiently, not only with taxpayers' dollars, I guess technically it all is, but another example is how prudent and efficient we've been when we have extra when it comes to ESSER dollars, and we're using them the right way, and we're using them the right way, and how effective we've been with, at least in my opinion, effective using dollars. And to me, that's part of our responsibility. The challenge with the levy is to tell that story. I think it's a good story to share, so I think it's important that we do, and it's incumbent upon us whether anytime there's a levy or an issue up there. So I'm going to support the continuing.
Yeah, Intel was a part of the discussion I had with a lot of people too, just to really make sure that we're prepared for the growth and any kind of facility changes or anything we need. So I think that's another one that came up a lot in our discussions.
I feel as though, and this is the same thing I said last month, but it's consistent with discussions that I've had. When we initially put the income tax on the ballot, we said we're making it for 5 years so that we can demonstrate that we're going to be good stewards, manage it prudently, and then ideally keep it going, because we need that continuing stream of funds, and it allows for some growth in income, which the property taxes obviously don't. So I just feel as though we have done exactly what we said we would do, and to put it back on as a continuing request is exactly what we said we would do.
Great, yeah, I appreciate all you reaching out to people, and again, I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of folks. And levies are sort of never easy, right? And it sounds like continuing is harder than a short term and so forth, but in reality, it's a renewal. Renewals always go a lot better, right? And it's a little bit of a referendum on the schools, which I will take right now for sure, right? I think the last couple of years, have been really challenging all around. But if you talk to people, they really appreciate having been here and having their kids in our schools. And it's gonna always be a core part of Granville. It's been that way for 200 years, and it's continued to be that way through whatever growth we have. But we have a very educated, group here, right? And I think we owe it to them to show them a strong kind of strategic financial plan that sustains us now and through the growth that we are gonna have. So no levy is easy, because it's a time when people have to ask tough questions. It's a time when people pay attention to your finances, and I think we have great answers to all that. And I kind of welcome that time, but I know it'll take a lot of work, and there'll be a chance for all of us to reach out to a lot more community members again. The income tax is only about 20% of our local revenue, right? So it's a minority of that. So we'll continue to have to go back to the ballot, because that's what you do in Ohio. You have to continue to pass property taxes. So it's not like we're not going to be going back for the property taxes on occasion. I'm not sure when the next one will be. But having a portion of our local revenue with the income tax, I think, makes sense. We've demonstrated that over the last 5 years, and it's a nice balance to keep us sustainable. So I'm hopeful we can get the full community support and plenty of people to step out and support the levy as well. But I think it's the right thing to do.
So I just highlight two things. Just having been in a high growth environment before, when I was in my time in Olentangy, there are, when you're in a higher growth environment, you're going to have to pass bond levies, which are construction levies. So that's an opportunity for the community to, vote and have a say. But the other thing is you have to operate the building once it's built. And that's really where the income tax would be beneficial in a higher growth environment, because you do have that opportunity for growth that's different than the property tax structure. And being proactive is important. So we have just a perfect tangible example. Our kindergarten enrollment came in higher this summer, significantly higher than we expected. And so Tanya had been preparing the facility building that used to be a kindergarten or a preschool building way in the back in the 70s and 80s and 90s. And so we've done quite a bit of updating of that facility so that we could have classrooms there. And now we need them. So if you're not prepared for those increases in enrollment, then you get overclass size or classes overcrowding and the potential for modulars and other things that are just not desirable. And so I think that I wanted to add that level because there are opportunities for the voters to have say in property tax and bond requests when the time comes. And that's important to be transparent during those times about those requests. So thank you.
Yeah, fantastic.
Seems like there's consensus on
Well,
the direction to go.
Yeah, you
Thank
can
you.
have any more discussion if anything comes up to us before the action item, but thanks for letting me have a chance to chat.
Excellent.
And again, this is a place where we welcome community input. If you want one of us, give us a call, write us an email, reach out to someone in the district to give us your perspective on how we can help this move forward.
Thank you. That moves us into the action agenda, and we have quite a few action items that set the stage for the 22-23 school year. That's the theme of this month. So the first item is the approval of the student handbooks for the 22-23 school year. That's at each building. Most of the changes were clerical in nature, very consistent with previous.
Great, can I get a motion to
So
discuss?
moved.
Second.
I have nothing else to share.
Great, just some clerical changes and things like that. Okay, take the roll then.
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Ms. Shaw? Aye. Ms. O'Day?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
Okay, item 9.02 is the athletic handbook for the 22-23 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Just as I suggested up above, most of the changes are clerical in nature and in alignment with what we hope that our student athletes will subscribe to in their sportsmanship throughout the year.
These are great documents that really help us go back when there's questions or when parents have things they want to know about our programs. It's kind of a ground, right? And they're really well done. So thanks for everybody that contributes to them.
Thank you.
The roll.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
Ms. Shaw? Aye. Ms. O'Day?
Aye.
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
Thank you. 9.03 is the employee handbook for the 22-23 school year.
So moved.
Second.
And the only changes that will be in the handbook are related to any changes that occurred in the collective bargaining agreement that would make changes to the employee handbook. So, and we've already approved that contract, so they're just clerical in nature as well.
Great, thanks to the association for working through all that with us. Roll.
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Ms. O'Day?
Aye.
Ms. Shaw? Aye. Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
9.04 are the school fees for the 22-23 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I do want to explain this. So you see that we have the school fees for the intermediate school, middle school, and high school only. The elementary is not missing as an error. We started to look at, obviously, inflation being higher, and were there any ways that we could make it a little bit easier on parents during a period of high inflationary times. And so we talked about the elimination of the Chromebook fee, which is a $40 fee. The intermediate school, middle, and high school all pay that fee. The elementary does not. And so we thought that it would be appropriate to eliminate the classroom fees at the elementary in conjunction with the elimination of the technology fee at the other areas. Most of the intermediate, middle, and high school are course-specific fees, and those are related to consumables. So obviously they're going to have some inflationary adjustments. The other thing that we've decided to do is eliminate the activity fee for next year, which is the fee that every student pays at the middle school and high school level for all of the activities that we have available to them if they so choose to participate. Again, we're trying to recognize that this is high inflationary times, and parents may have difficulty covering those expenses based on, higher gas prices and the like. So wanted to talk a little bit about that and explain the rationale and the why behind the adjustments that we made to the school fees for this year.
So can you clarify, the elementary school students do not have the Chromebook fee, but they have the classroom fee?
Correct.
And the intermediate, middle, and high do have the Chromebook fee?
Yes.
And have fees for their specific courses, if you have those courses, but no longer, they
Correct.
do not have the activity fee?
Yeah, so we're trying to eliminate about a $40 fee for every.
For each.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, thank you. So wait, why
We're
is,
eliminating the Chromebook.
No, I
fee
got it, but
at
why
all
does
the
it-
buildings.
Yes.
Right, but why do we have no school fees, like for
So
GES?
GES, we're eliminating all the fees at GES, because it was a $35
Oh.
fee.
Yeah.
So that students at all buildings would be impacted, we looked at just eliminating that class fee, because it's comparable to the $40 technology fee at other buildings.
Okay, for some reason I thought, yes, I just thought GES also had a Chromebook fee.
Oh.
And then I thought, well, why are we, okay,
Yeah.
got it. So there are no more fees at the elementary school for right now?
Yeah, so
Correct.
essentially, we're eliminating elementary class fees, Chromebook fees, and the activity fee at the middle school and high school. Is-
That's why she's here.
Yeah. Thank you. Any questions? Thank you.
Ms. O'Day?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
Ms. Shaw?
Aye.
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
Thank you. Next item is 9.05, the SOAR Leading and Learning Collaborative Agreement.
Second.
Okay, this is our annual collaborative learning agreement with Patel for Kids in Granville Schools. It's a $10,000 professional development agreement. So Patel for Kids has always been kind of our R&D environment for project-based learning, self-determined learning, portrait of a graduate, and we partner with them strategically because they do have a very large national network that we benefit from greatly. We've had visits from people from Georgia and Connecticut to our land lab. By the way, the goats are here. And
So cute.
Patel for Kids is instrumental in that process.
I had the pleasure of meeting with the director of Patel at the OSBA conference and learned about their portrait of a graduate. This is the same team, right? That helped build the portrait. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's great to be connected with that organization. Very good. Good. Roll.
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Ms. Shaw? Ms. O'Day?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
The next item is the exempt employee salary schedule increase for the 22-23 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so unlike the collective bargaining agreement where we approve 3 years of salary increases, exempt employees are employees that are not in the collective bargaining agreement, and we have to approve their salary increases annually. So 3% is in line with the collective bargaining agreement that we just passed a couple of months ago.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, roll.
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Ms. O'Day?
Aye.
Ms. Shaw?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
The next item, 9.07, are the administrative stipends, merit stipends for the 21-22 school year, so last year.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. So last year, we started this process of moving more to a merit-based or performance-based stipend environment for the administration that does not compound or add to the base. Only the salary schedule adjustment, which is the next item, would. And it's again at the end of the year for the previous year's work.
Is it the same across the board?
It is.
Same across the board in what way?
Is
The percentage
Yeah.
available. But if someone did not meet expectations, then they would not receive the stipend equally. So it is a performance-based environment.
That's a great model, and I think it's one that I hope to continue to support, so that's fine. Okay, roll.
Ms. O'Day?
Aye.
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Ms. Shaw?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
The next item is the administrative employee salary schedule increase.
So moved.
Second.
And so much like I said about the exempt employees, administrators are obviously exempt from the collective bargaining agreement, but that 3% salary increase is in alignment with what the teachers received in that process.
Okay. Roll.
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Ms. Shaw?
Aye.
Ms. O'Day?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
Thank you. 9.09 is the LACA service level agreement for the 22-23 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, LACA is the Licking Area Computer Association. They are our ITC. They provide our network and internet services, as well as other hosting opportunities for LACA. They are support, and we are approving their service level agreement for next year.
Yeah, we're going to really lean on hard this year with the implementation of our new student information system. And I know these days it's hard to find the right people for those organizations and things like that because they're important skill sets. But as we get more and more into things like cloud-based services that they can help maintain, this is going to continue to be really important. So I guess about that, thank you.
And I think their relationship with Meta, which is a little bit bigger shop, has also been advantageous for them through this process. And I think that partnership is something that we would want LACA to continue, and we've emphasized that as board of directors.
I think that's a great way to do it, you know, for these organizations to partner to get more specialty experience and things like that. That's fantastic. So I appreciate you encouraging them. That's a good model that we support. Yeah. Good. Roll, please.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
Ms. Shaw?
Aye.
Ms. O'Day?
Aye.
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye. Thank you.
Next item is the approval of the food service contract with ABI.
So moved.
Second.
So we typically have a 5-year contract with ABI, but we approve annually the contract. And ABI has been very responsive through COVID and the utilization of the federal funds to support free meals for all students. And they've done an excellent job managing that process, and obviously Chef John is a favorite. So we are looking forward to their continuing partnerships.
Have you heard anything recently on the federal funds continuation or not?
Yeah, it will continue to next
Yeah.
year.
Okay.
It's back up for discussion again.
Oh.
I just found out today in the email, so.
There we go.
Oh, okay.
Back up for discussion.
Yeah, we may know something in early July.
Okay.
In early July. There we go.
Oh, great, thank you.
Things change. Yeah.
Yeah. Great, yeah, and fantastic food services again. I think, you know, that's something we should be proud of here, and that's a very important thing to continue to support our students that way. So,
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Ms. O'Day?
Aye.
Ms. Shaw?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
Thank you. 9.11 is the approval of a contract with TP Mechanical Contractors for a project at GES.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, this is mechanical water piping replacement project in the basement of GES.
Different than the air handler, which is a separate project.
Yes. We're doing a lot of work for them.
Yeah. Well, it's an older.
It's an older one.
It's going to
Yeah.
need our support, so, yeah. The roll?
Ms. O'Day?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
Ms. Shaw?
Aye.
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
This is not a repeat, but it is 9.12, but it's identified for the crawl space.
So moved.
Second.
No questions? Vote.
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
Ms. O'Day?
Aye.
Ms. Shaw?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
Thank you. Next item is part of our annual updating of our facilities, approval of contract with Armor Paving and Sealing.
So moved.
Second.
It feels really good to be able to stay on top of that. You know, a few years ago, we got behind the ball and potholes just get worse and worse, right? And so I think we've got a good cycle in place right now, and I appreciate us all kind of watching over that and being able to get through our parking lots comfortably.
Yes.
Is this for this district parking lot or all of?
Full district.
It's the full district, but we target specific areas that they come in and identify as in need of repair. So it's a partnership where they assess everything and identify what areas should be done.
Okay,
As
so
a
they'll
priority.
possibly do just like patchwork if it's just a little spot? Okay.
Yeah.
And to what references something Mr. Miller said, we've been able to put together kind of a plan now, right? That what we want to do down, what's most immediate and what have future plans, which is, I think is great, because I remember when we couldn't do that.
Yeah, when things was going downhill.
Yeah.
The kid's gonna be driving soon, gotta get those parking lots ready.
Yes.
There we go.
Great, the roll, please.
Ms. Shaw?
Aye.
Ms. O'Day?
Aye.
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
Okay, 9.14 is the roofing contract with Duralast for several roofing projects within the district.
So moved.
Second.
What I would say the biggest part of the project is we replaced all the shingling up at GIS, but there is a Duralast area that also is at GIS that needs replaced. So this will complete GIS roof in totality because it will replace the area that is over the gymnasium with the Duralast.
Thanks to Tanya and all the people in our facilities department that are facilitating this as well. Summer is a really busy time, but the time we need to get in quickly and get a lot of this stuff done. I took a quick walk through the elementary school the other day and saw some of the huge projects that are on the line there. It feels good to be able to support that, and it'll be good to be able to have those done.
Yes.
So, the roll.
Ms. Shaw?
Aye.
Ms. O'Day?
Aye.
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
Thank you. 9.15 is the approval of agreement with Ohio State University Sports Medical Services.
So moved.
Second.
So, as you are aware, for the last, I would say, 6 years, we've been partnering with Ohio State Sports Med. Tim Miller was our team doctor. Steve Rose and Bree Miller were our athletic trainers. And then last year, we brought in Coach Leffingwell to be our strength and conditioning coach, all facilitated by OSU. That contract typically is about a $66,000 contract. This year, that contract will cost us nothing. They are donating those services to us in exchange for some marketing that typically occurs already because of the partnership that we have with them, which is not atypical. It's actually more atypical to pay for those services because it's a way that they give back to local communities. So we are excited that we are saving $66,000 in the general fund and still maintaining the level of expertise that we've come to know and love. And our students truly take advantage of the opportunity for those athletic trainers to help them stay on the competitive environment that they're in, and they do a fantastic job. So, very happy.
That's great.
Great, the roll, please.
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
Ms. O'Day?
Aye.
Ms. Shaw?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
Okay, 9.16 is the approval of contract with Boundless.
So moved.
Second.
Boundless is a company that provides students for services for students with special needs, and we contract with them for individual students.
Any questions? The roll, please.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
Ms. O'Day?
Aye.
Ms. Shaw?
Aye.
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
Thank you. 9.17 is the approval of a contract with Eagle Wings.
So moved.
Second.
Just like I mentioned with Boundless, Eagles Wings is a provider for special education services and an annual contract that is related to a specific student.
Thank you. Any questions? The roll, please.
Ms. Shaw?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
Ms. O'Day?
Aye.
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
Okay, the next item and last item of our action agenda is 9.18, approval of agreement with BLACA for field technician services.
So moved. Second.
Okay, so last year, if you remember, we partnered with LACA to try and get technician services to Glenn's department because he was extremely short-staffed, and trying to find an individual was challenging. So LACA did a broader search and was able to bring in a field service technician that's been fantastic. Has added tremendous value to the technology department, and we're happy to continue that contract for next year.
Great. Okay, any questions? No roll, please.
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Ms. Adair?
Aye.
Ms. Shaw?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
Okay, next item is 10.01, the approval of the routine business by consent agenda. Items A through E.
So moved. Second.
Okay. I am going to walk you through several of the items here. So obviously, we always appreciate any donations that are coming to us. This one is in particular to the robotics program. We appreciate that donation. We have our typical stipends and supplementals for next year. Most of those are fall supplementals. Some are year-long supplementals. We have exempt employee contract renewals. Again, exempt employees are not part of the collective bargaining agreement, so we approve their contracts when those contracts are up, as well as administrative contract renewals. We have several of those renewals for your approval. Certified staff contracts, you'll see the GES Learning Recovery Specialist. That's a one-year contract for next year. That is related to the learning recovery responsibilities as far as ESSER and ARP dollars. And so we are using those COVID-related funds for that position. And then we have a couple of positions that are related to people who have exited previously and we're backfilling. And then the only other item I would probably bring to your attention is number 11, the Granville Intermediate and Middle School Assistant Principal for the 22-23 school year. Right now, at the end of this year, we had Tammy Hamby splitting the middle school and high school as an assistant principal. We had Tracy Stewart splitting the elementary and intermediate school. We are moving Tracy Stewart to the elementary only, and Tammy Hamby to the high school only. Obviously, those are our two biggest buildings. And then we are hiring Josh Quire, who will be splitting the position between the intermediate school and middle school, which is actually a good fit because we have students that transfer between those two buildings. So having a person that's familiar with students in both of those buildings is advantageous. But it's something that I think has been in need, and we're excited about taking that step.
Does this probably finish up the hiring, or should we get one more second grade or kindergarten teacher?
Yeah, so we have hired, we transferred for the kindergarten position. We have a second grade position. We have the district or GHS secretary position, and
Bus drivers.
one or two bus drivers.
Yeah.
Great.
Still to hire, but we're in good shape. Tanya and the administrative team and the teachers that have participated in the hiring process have done a fantastic job. There are a lot of new hires, and we're looking forward to building their capacity and having them join us in the fall. Nice job.
Yeah, thank you for all the hard work there.
Mrs. Schubert, I'm just curious about, how's it going with bus drivers? Is that still continuing to be a challenge?
It's a challenge, but the past, I'd say month and a half, we've had some interest, so we're making some progress.
Good, good.
Thank you.
Great. Any other questions on any of those things? Supplemental with other hires? No? Okay, the roll, please.
Ms. Shaw?
Aye.
Ms. Adair?
Aye.
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings
section, item 11.01 is approval of the May 2022 financial report.
So moved.
Second.
Do we have to do something with the field trips thing?
That's
Part of the previous.
part of the
Oh, okay.
consent.
Any additional questions or comments on the financial report?
No? Roll, please.
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
Ms. O'Day?
Aye.
Ms. Shaw?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
Item 11.02 is approval of the resolution authorizing payment in lieu of transportation.
So moved.
Second. This is the second of a two-step annual process where we deem students attending certain private schools impractical to transport, so we're required to provide transportation within 30 minutes. If it's impractical for us to otherwise send a bus or van or other transportation, we provide these payments as stipends to parents for providing their own transportation. So that this is actually authorizing that we make those payments, which we will make this week.
Is it a typical mileage stipend like a business would?
No, it's set as part of the state budget, actually. So it's like under 1,500 per student is the maximum, and then there's a minimum of 200 something. So you can basically prorate it based on the number of days that the student attends. So it's a little over $1,000 per student if
For the
they
year.
attend all year.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many students approximately do we have that
I
need the service?
think it's about 5
Yeah,
this year. Yeah.
thank you.
Do you, you may not know, but about how much do we spend per student here, do you know? To transport students?
I don't know that.
So we would probably spend a lot less per students here because we fill up our buses. But if we were to try and transport these students ourselves to these other schools, it would cost us a lot more.
Yeah.
Right, so it's basically a lower cost than the required need for us to transport students to school. So we're required to do it, but we can pay the parents instead.
Yeah, I understand.
I believe that information is actually on one of the 2 of the annual transportation reports that we file. I just don't know it offhand, so I can look that up.
Thank you.
And see if we have that. Yeah.
Great. Any questions? Roll, please.
Ms. O'Day?
Aye.
Ms. Shaw?
Aye.
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
Okay, item 11.03 is approval of the fiscal year 2022 permanent appropriation resolution.
So moved.
Second.
This is just to kind of wrap things up for this fiscal year. We're increasing the appropriation for food service fund. We've had more revenue coming into that account, so we've had also more expenses. We're getting some equipment updated with some of the additional revenue that we're having come in, as well as salaries being up this year from where they were last year. And then I also increased the appropriation for the project fund to allow for the return of advance. That is a later agenda item as well.
Okay. Questions? Roll, please.
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
Ms. Shaw?
Aye.
Ms. O'Day?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
Item 11.04 is approval of the fiscal year 2023 temporary appropriation resolution.
So moved.
Second.
This is required as a temporary approval to allow us to begin spending on July 1st. So we do a second resolution in September to approve the permanent appropriations, and then, as you've seen, we make changes to that throughout the year. But essentially what it is all of the appropriation resolutions are budget at the fund level, so the highest level of spending.
Okay. Questions? The roll, please.
Ms. Shaw?
Aye.
Ms. O'Day?
Aye.
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
Item 11.05 is approval of the resolution for fiscal year 2022 year-end fund advances to be repaid after the fiscal year end.
So moved.
Second.
So this resolution is to advance funds from the general fund to our reimbursement-based grant accounts. Since they're reimbursement-based, they cannot end, they're typically in a negative cash status until we receive those repayments, which we request from the state periodically. So at the end of the year, we can't have them end in negative cash, so we advance them from the general fund in June, and then in July, we reverse that. It's really just an accounting nightmare issue.
I really appreciate you keeping your eye on all this stuff. Okay, I feel in good hands. The roll, please.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Ms. Shaw?
Aye.
Ms. O'Day?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
Item 11.06, approval of the resolution for return of advance from the building fund to the operating fund.
So moved.
Second.
And this is the athletic complex portion that I explained earlier during the financial report.
Great, thanks for watching over that for us. The roll, please.
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Ms. O'Day?
Aye.
Ms. Shaw?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
Item 11.04, approval of the resolution requesting certification of alternative tax rates for a renewal income tax, and I will say for a continuing period.
So moved.
Second. So, like Jeff was explaining, this is the first of the two-step process for placing the income tax renewal on the ballot. This is essentially the resolution of necessity, so we're saying it's necessary for us to continue collecting this, and we're saying it's for a continuing period of time. This will be certified to the state, to the tax commissioner. The second resolution is we will pass is actually the ballot language, and that gets certified to the Board of Elections. So that's a two-step process that we're required.
Will the second step happen in July?
Yes, so it'll be at our July meeting,
Okay.
which we are still finalizing the exact date of.
I feel so proud that's like what we've done and things like that, and this is an important piece of it, right? And I know the community's gonna find a way to step up. It's a renewal. This is the kind of things that happens, and we're looking forward to the community support. So thanks for helping put the logistics together to make this happen. I'm confident with the language of continuing. Yeah. The roll, please.
Ms. O'Day?
Aye.
Ms. Shaw?
Aye.
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye. I'd like to entertain a motion to retreat to executive session to consider the employment of a public employee or official.
So moved.
Second.
Wait.
So you got it.
Okay.
I got it.
Yeah.
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Ms. O'Day?
Aye.
Ms. Shaw?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye, and I'll point out that there won't be any action items following the meeting, so stick around, probably won't be much more after this, but thank you all for coming.